see it appear first. Up here. Yep, it's working. So it's not on slow mode, right? Yeah, there they go. Shalom. We'll begin in one moment. To Zion. I was lost, but now I'm found. I'm a child of Israel. I heard the sound. Please give me the strength to stand today. With my eyes towards the east, show me the way to Zion. I'm on my knees, laying my life on the line. I'm begging, please don't let me fall. Give me the strength. Place my feet, Lord, guide my path. Show me the way to Zion. I opened up the book and see that the apple of your eye included me. And through the tribulation, I know I must stand for a new heaven, a new earth. Show me the way to Zion. I'm on my knees, laying my life on the line. I'm begging, please don't let me fall. Give me the strength. Lace my feet, guide my path. Show me the way to Zion. I feel the Spirit calling me, drawing me back home. Oh, it's happened with my family. I know it won't be long. One day you're gonna look for me, and I'll be gone home. Yeah, Israel is calling us back home to Zion. I'm on my knees. I lay down my life. I'm begging, please don't let me fall. Give me the strength. Place my feet, guide my path. Show me the way to Zion. I'm on my knees, laying my life on the line. I'm begging, please don't let me fall. Give me the strength. Lace my feet, guide my path. Show me the way to Zion. To Zion. I was lost, but now I'm found. I'm a child of Israel. I heard the sound. Okay, that's enough.
I know it won't be
long, oh,
one day you're gonna look for me,
and I'll be gone home.
yeah.
Shalom, brothers and sisters. Of course, I'm Elder Ricard Shaw, the Gathering of Christ Church, here with Elder Lawyer with another Sabbath lesson. Shabbat Shalom. How are you? Hope you all are doing well. All praises be to the Most High, Ahaya Bahashim Yeshai, Warawak. We're here with another Sabbath, and I would need you all, as you all know, just so that traffic can run through here and brothers and sisters can receive the word today. Please, right now, hit the like button, and that way it will drive the traffic here so that others will know. Others will know that we're actually in a class. It says slow motion is on. Who did that? That's enable slow mode. I didn't do that. Well, it's weird. Done. Okay. Yeah. So hit the like button. That way it'll drive traffic, because I like to get into the meat of the lesson around anywhere between 700 to 1,000. But if not, we'll jump right in. All right, Elder Lawyer, let's start with the Hebrew credo for the Sabbath, please.
Yes, sir. Shema Yasha'Allah Ahaya Allahaya Nawa Ahaya Akkad.
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 Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one.
Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one. Shalom, brothers and sisters. Of course, as I've mentioned, for those who don't know, I'm Elder Ricard Shaw, the Gathering of Christ Church, and we have an actual spontaneous lesson for you all today. Outside of the regular Sabbath lesson, which was prepared, I had some information sent to me that I couldn't wait to bring forth to you all, okay? And I said, you know what? Our Sabbath will be named The Truth is Here. But what will you do with it? What will we do with it? Based on some of the information that was sent. Brother Trent sent me something that I couldn't wait, and I'm going to make sure I invite this brother on that I'm about to show you today on the Sabbath. Okay? And Elder Gaja sent me some key information. And when I seen both of those two, who didn't speak any, to each other, send me information that actually relates. The Bible says where two or more witnesses, let everything be established for two or more witnesses. When I received those two independently, outside of them speaking to each other, because Gaja's in Jamaica somewhere, right? I knew that the Most High was putting out a spirit for me to bring these two topics together that was sent to bring forth this Sabbath today. And they sent it probably within 5 minutes of each other, two separate scenarios, but it's really one topic, okay? And I'm going to talk about it today. The truth is here. What will you or what will we do with it? The truth can no longer be denied. Who are the children of Israel? Now, it leads us to this question. Reparations or restoration for our people? The truth is here. What will we do with it? And as a result of us knowing the truth, is it reparations or restoration? And I'm saying this because Black people everywhere within the United States on a political level who know what's going down are saying in this election cycle, no longer will we vote for everyone else's
points of interest. Now, no longer will we vote so that everyone else can receive everything while we receive absolutely nothing at all. Okay, the Democrats have destroyed the black communities, right? You can't say they didn't. Blacks vote Democrat. So what you see is a product of the Democrat agenda against blacks, right? On top of that, most blacks today don't even realize that it was the Democrats that were hanging us and lynching us, during the time of right after the so-called Emancipation Proclamation of Freedom. It was the Democrats who was hanging us. It was the Democrats pushing the Jim Crow laws, ostracizing us. But now they've used that. Now black people believe they're the party to help us, right? Now, I'm not speaking political today. I'm speaking spiritual today. Because now our people in the communities have begun to wake up. And I think the biggest wake up call was Barack Obama. All of us believe that the conditions in our communities as a people would change with a black president, with a black wife who understood black issues. Okay. So now we're standing saying, listen, you have to bring forth something specific for us. Okay. And don't claim that you can't bring anything specific. We don't want to hear about the wage gap. Okay. Because that is something for all people, regardless of race. We don't want to hear about criminal reform. We don't want to hear about that because that's specific for all people, right? Now, and don't say you can't do things in specific for certain people when you can push gay marriage or make laws specifically for gay people to get the same right as straight people, giving them the opportunity to marry each other and have all the benefits that come with it. That was a specific law passed for specific people, right? So if you can now, okay, the Japanese received reparations, okay, after World War I, specifically really after World War II, when they were put in internment camps here in the United States. They received, laws were pushed specifically to give them finances to set up businesses in our neighborhoods. Okay, so you want to know where that money come from, where they can now consolidate and now have their own restaurants and all that? Well, that was reparation money for them being placed in internment camps or ghettos. Right? So America can push laws for specific people and make laws distinctly or exclusively for a race of people, but not blacks. They will never be able to. And this is what I'm going into. But black people are becoming more aware. Our people are becoming more aware on the political side of things and saying, you know what? I'm not voting so that others have the right to benefit off of me. White women being a minority. So they're a minority so they can get minority rights, even though they're white. Right? Gays can get all this money under the LGBT movement because they've been, marginalized within the communities, quote unquote. So specific laws and political protection have been placed in the law for them, as well as a certain amount of money from the Civil Rights Act goes directly to them. Japanese can get something in specific. Jews or Jewish people can get something in specific, but no laws can be passed for black people. And the rest, the question is, black people are saying, listen, we need reparations specifically for us and laws passed specifically for us. And you know what? unfortunately, you're not going to get it. Why? We're missing what the Most High said in the Bible we would receive. And if we were to get anything, how God said that our particular people are supposed to get it. And that's the problem. Our people don't want to unite under the understanding of who we are. Okay? And rally under that for what God promised us. And that leads me, now that we up 795 now, that leads me into our Sabbath lesson. The truth is here. What will you do with it? Right? Do we want reparations as a people, or do we want to be restored? Restoration as a people. And if restoration is the answer, how will we get restored as a people? That's our lesson today, Elder Lawyer. Right? Are you following me? Now, let's start it with here. For years, we've been on the street teaching, and brothers are probably on the street. I know our church is on the street right now in certain areas, especially after the Sabbath lesson. We've been out there telling everyone that this guy in the middle, by the name of Cesar Borgia, in history, one of the Borgia family sons, a notorious mobster in the 15th century, his family. We've been telling people for years, this is the man that was put up and propagated over the whole earth as the new Jesus Christ. It cannot be denied. You can look at Jean Plady's book, Sarah Bradford's book, The Life and Time of the Borgia, Triptychs of Poisoners by Jean Plady. It's clear guess what? The Roman Catholic Church isn't even denying that this man was the image that was placed up as the new Jesus Christ. But the problem is our people in servitude, not understanding the law, because why? The churches were teaching the law is done away with, that we weren't supposed to put up an idol to be worshiped. Accepted this false image as the new Jesus Christ through the spirit of idolatry. Now our people are beginning to wake up to this and say, okay, they've lied to us. But instead of cleaving to the Bible, our people now have denied the Bible, claiming that the white man lied. So since they made us worship a white image, I'll now reject a black Bible. See? They put up this man to be the new Jesus Christ. We've been on the street saying this for years. And the greatest opposition, Elder Lawyer, that we have had has not been with white people. Our greatest opposition has been with black Christian Baptist pastors up until now. The truth is here, what will you do with it? Because black pastors out there took it as we saying that this man cannot be Jesus Christ. They took this as you're just dealing with a doctrine of hate against white people and found some history to give fuel to your hatred. That's how black pastors or Baptist pastors were viewing us on the street, saying that this man cannot be Jesus Christ, because it tells us in the Bible that Christ was a black man. But now pastors are waking up, folks. They're waking up. All praises be to the Most High. And that a lot of that work that was done on the street and that continued to be done on the street isn't done in vain and wasn't done in vain. It was resonating. But pastors, it left pastors uncomfortable, not, thinking, well, what does this mean for me and my congregation? So they put more so on a protective, and a shepherd should do so. A shepherd is supposed to look at how things are going to affect their sheep. So I don't blame them for that. But you don't deny the truth and be threatened. You teach the truth. So I must, at this moment, give a great thank you to a doctor, a Baptist pastor. Okay? A Baptist pastor from Mount Carmel Baptist Church in Detroit. Mount Carmel Baptist Church in Detroit. The pastor goes by the name of Dr. Theron William. Dr. Theron Williams. He didn't sit back and see us say, well, the Jews are really black, and that there's a false image claiming to be us. He didn't just run with the thing that, the mantra that these guys must be racist. You know what he did? He did independent research to prove or disprove what we all were saying. And check out what he found out. That's not Christ. It's Cesar Borgia. Do your research. And you know what this means? If this is not Christ, then we have to get over the idea that the people of Israel and the people of the Bible looks like this. This was, you might think this was a Christian deception. This is greater than a Christian deception, folks. Okay, there are particular people on earth claiming to be from the race Christ was from. So this is deeper than a Christian deception. They have deceived the world with this image and now call themselves the chosen people. Check this out. Matter of fact, first let me give you a picture of the brother. Where is he here? Dr. Theron Williams, Baptist pastor, mind you. And it's deep because I was telling Lawyer before the broadcast, this brother is almost a splitting image of the pastor that I came up under in Philadelphia, Bishop William T. Little. He was right there off of 9th and Collar Hill, growing up as a child. Bishop Little, I got Williams on the tongue, would come pick up the children out of the neighborhood every week and take us to church. 9th and Collar Hill, downtown. This guy is almost a splitting image of the pastor I grew to love growing up with. So I'm going to make this clear. And I say it over and over again. I have no problem or no issues with Baptist pastors. I believe that this man who grew up and picked me up and gave me an opportunity to sing in his church and help me, guided me to where I am right now. And if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have known God like I know him now. I'm a firm believer in that God can work through any denomination to bring us to the truth. I believe that, but we're not to stay stuck under that denomination. We ought to find God and grow and then search out him. It says, search out your own soul's salvation with fear and trembling. Eventually, we have to cleave to him and deal with truth, regardless of what denomination or what people we are frequenting. So I don't have a problem. I believe if it wasn't for, you ain't going to see me speaking in tongues and all that mess and all that stuff, though, because I know the true doctrine of that. But you have to respect men who gave up their life for Christ and are trying to make things better for us, even in their ignorance. We have to respect that. But this brother have went above what I've seen in most Baptist churches. This brother here, Dr. Theron Williams. Listen to this. And for copyright reasons, I wish I could play the video with him, but for copyright reasons, I'm going to play the audio. Listen intently here. He was on Black Journal not too long ago. Listen to this, folks. One moment.
The new book is addressing the age-old question about whether people of African descent were present in biblical history. The Bible is Black History explores DNA evidence and the work of historians and scientists to prove that Black people were part of the Israelite community in the Bible. The book claims the world's first man, identified as Adam, was a Black man from Africa. My next guest is the book's author. Dr. Theron Williams is a pastor in Indianapolis and a Detroit native. Welcome to American Black Journal.
Thank you, Steve.
Yeah, so this is fascinating research.
Yeah.
This is something that I've heard people say for a long time, right?
Sure.
That Black people are part of the original human tribes, including in the Bible. But the idea of trying to prove that through DNA and records, I think, gives it an added dimension.
Yeah. The book advances the notion that the people who made up the Israelite communities, both in Old and New Testament, were people of color, namely Black people. We know that the world's first man, that the father of modern humans, was a Black man in East Africa. DNA evidence bears that out. In fact, the National Geographic Society, along with IBM, came together and they put together the Genographic Project. It was headed by Dr. Spencer Wells and it concluded in 2005. It was a 10-year study and they went worldwide, Dr. Spencer Wells and his team, collecting DNA evidence from indigenous communities worldwide. And they wanted to find who is the father of modern humans. And so we know women have 2 X chromosomes and men have an X and a Y chromosome. So they studied the Y chromosome and they traced it back 60,000 years to East Africa. And Dr. Wells and his team concluded that the first modern human was a Black man in East Africa, whom the Bible identifies as Adam. So we know that through DNA evidence. And then the descendants of Adam obviously would have been Black people.
Right. Tell me what made you interested in this subject.
What made me interested, Stephen, is that in the Black church, we were having a defection of African American young people, millennials. And I was trying to figure out why were they defecting
where are they
from
going?
the church and where are they going and why are they leaving, you know. It wasn't like my generation. I'm a baby boomer. You know, we came to church and we didn't ask many questions or anything. Yeah.
You just did it because you were supposed to.
We did it because we were supposed to, you know. But this generation of millennials are now asking questions. You know, they're questioning the efficacy of the church. They're questioning the authenticity of the scripture. They're questioning the historicity of Jesus. And the church has not answered those questions adequately enough. And so this was a study. It started off as a study, particularly for my millennials at our church. And it turned into a 9-month study, and then that study turned into a book. So it was as if the millennial generation pushed me into writing this book.
Yeah. What lessons, other than sort of the obvious connection to modern African and African American people, what lessons do you feel we should draw from this evidence, this proof that Black people were among these early tribes of humans?
Well, it's empowering, you know, because it contradicts the traditional notion that The people of the Bible, from Adam all the way to Jesus, were people of European descent. And that's just not true. That's just not factual. And so it's empowering to a community to look in the biblical text and see themselves as a part of salvation history, not sitting on the sideline waiting for someone else to win salvation for us,
Yes.
but that people of African descent were actually the authors of salvation history, which draws the African American reader into the story because part of me is in the story. That's empowering.
Yeah. And you think about the sort of easy logic of some of this truth. I mean, if you think about where life begins and sort of what part of the world most of the Bible takes place in, if you go there even now, it's not like you see people of European descent there. I mean, you see people of African and Middle Eastern descent. And yet, as you point out, all of the stories for forever really have been told as though the principal characters are all of European descent.
Sure. And people raise a question to me, you know, as I lecture around the country on this topic, particularly when it comes to the racial makeup of Jesus Christ. People ask, what difference does it make? I mean, he died for our sins. He's the Savior of the world. And the answer is that that's the wrong question. What difference does his color make? That's the wrong question. The question is, since we know that Jesus Christ was not a Scandinavian, because he's depicted as Scandinavian, he's depicted as a European in the traditional images of Jesus, and we know that he didn't look like that. The question is not what difference does his color make. The question is, why have he been whitewashed?
Why have we done that? Why have we allowed that?
That's the question that we should be pursuing.
Yeah. In the neighborhood where I was born, here in Detroit, there's a Catholic church.
Hold up. Now I'm going to finish this, lawyer, and I need your opinion on this also. You know, because right now things are just flowing. Scriptures is just flowing out right now. Precept just going through my head right now. Because that's the first question we get from our people and pastors on the street is, what difference does it make? But his answer was is the exact thing we've been teaching for decades. That they have whitewashed his image. And if they would lie on the color of Christ, what other lies have they told? How far does this rabbit hole go? Should we just dismiss it and say it doesn't matter? If it didn't matter, they would not have done it. But go on.
Church called St. Cecilia, which in the 1960s, like many Catholic churches in the city, was starting to change in its population as the city was changing, and it was becoming more African American. And the priest there told an African American artist who was a member of the congregation, to paint a mural behind the altar. And he said, I want you to try to reflect what you think, why you feel connected to this religion and to this church. And this artist painted a 35 foot image of Jesus as a black man. And the controversy that ensued is legend, not just in the neighborhood, but all over the country. I mean, the Washington Post came and wrote a story about it. But that reaction when someone suggested in the late 1960s, hey, this is who I see when I think about Christ. I see an African American. It elicited this very visceral response, right? People are very protective of these other images. And I think that speaks, again, to the importance of making sure the truth is understood. I think it's one thing to say everyone should be able to see themselves in the church and in Christ, but then there's also the necessity to have fact.
So you have another guy just walking a line, and that's needed. He's walking a line in protection of the rest of his life. in anything he've acquired in this earth. But it's good they're doing this dialogue because this guy is saying the same thing, but in a way that others can accept it.
Right. It's his job to be objective.
Exactly.
Rule our discussion of those
Sure.
things.
Jesus was a human being, a historical figure, and he bore the indigenous physical characteristics of his community.
Of the other people from that area,
Yeah,
right?
he is a historical reality, and so to negate his color, to negate his racial composition, is to negate part of who he is, because his race, the way he looked, is a part of his ontological being. It's a part of him. So you can't separate Christ from his ethnicity, from his color, and say you are accepting Christ as your Lord and Savior. You either accept all of him or you don't accept him at all. And we don't have the luxury to say that I am going to conform Christ into a color that's comfortable for me.
Right.
You can't do that. You know.
All right. Well, congratulations on the work, and thanks very much for being
Alrighty.
here.
Thank you, man.
Good to have you
Appreciate
home
it.
in Detroit. Right?
Alrighty. All right. God bless you.
Praise the Most High. Now, there's Elder Lawyer, before I go on, is there anything you wanted to say on that?
Well, first and foremost, I think it's profound that, just on the aspect of color. And as you mentioned, this is something that usually when this topic of discussion is placed on the table, it's usually put in the realm of, it doesn't matter. Why should it matter if Christ brought salvation for the whole earth? The issue with that is the fact that the popular or the official image that has been presented of a European Christ, a so-called white Christ, has had a profound effect on our people, the descendants of slaves. We have learned to associate that image with slavery in our captivity itself.
Exactly.
So if we're going to talk about salvation, okay, then we have to look at those who were affected negatively, because when they look at the church, when they look at Christianity, they associate it with the false image, which by association is connected to slavery. So if we're going to talk about salvation, we have to talk about those who this image became a stumbling block to cause them to no longer even desire the biblical aspect or the biblical concept of salvation, because now they associate the Bible with the false image, which is associated with their slavery.
And that's deep in itself. And one thing that popped out at me, and I got to go into here, is the fact that he had to conform to save his church. Who did that?
Right.
The Most High prophesied that he would begin to destroy the idols in these temples. So eventually, if you destroy the idols, that means the one omnipotent one that most admire. If you begin to destroy that at its core, the people will flee. Because the people are simple. They're not theologians. So there was a strong belief in this white image. And he says these millennials are not like us growing up who went to church and asked no questions. These millennials are on YouTube looking at Israelites, folks. So pastors are dealing with this wrong. This brother is dealing with it correctly. Pastors are lashing out and trying to attack Israelites instead of understanding the truth Israelites are bringing forth, which is doing what? Dwindling their numbers. And I'm going to tell you, I know their numbers are dwindling. Okay? Every place or every city we're setting up a church, brothers and sisters, there's no room in it. But pastors now, in order for them to keep their overhead, they must rent out their church to 3 different congregations, 3 different pastors in one building must take shifts on Sundays now, because the mega churches have destroyed the local churches. So now, in order for the pastors to keep their church, either they'll sell the building and it becomes something else, in apartments or stores or whatever, or They must rent their space during the week and to pastors every Sunday on shifts. Okay, the Most High is doing something. You know who's changing this? Christ is, folks. It was prophesied. I need you to read this real quick. You know what? And you know what? It's commendable that this brother wasn't stiff-necked and isn't stiff-necked and listened. He listened to his people. He had his ear to the ground. It was deeper than money to him. He cared about the people he was losing and saying no more. It must be something true in this. It must be something true that's leading them someplace else. Could it be Christ changing the church? Is it Christ changing my church? Is the question. Because don't forget, folks, when you look in the book of Revelation, Christ was judging each church, all the 7 churches, on the things they did correctly and the things they would do to lose the spirit. He would immediately say, listen, I have a problem with you for doing this in the church of Ephesus or the church of Pergamos, that you allow the spirit of Jezebel to run rampant. He was correcting all churches. If he corrected the 7 churches that was established under him with the disciples, what do you think he's doing with the rest of the churches? But this pastor has enough love and respect for Christ to listen and to conform back to what the original churches were meant to be. And that's why I champion this brother. I respect and support this brother. I don't take that as a threat to my congregation and who's following the Gathering Christ Church. No, we're together. We may not believe the same thing, but when something like this happens, this is a win for God's people, folks. Okay. He listened. Let's read Matthew 21 and 16 real quick. 21 and 16. Read that.
Yes, sir. And said unto him, I'll start up a little bit. I'll start in verse 12 if you don't mind.
Come on.
And this is Matthew 21 and 12.
Matthew 21 and 12.
And Yeshua went into the temple of God and cast out all them that sold and bought in the temple, and overthrew the tables of the money changers and the seats of them that sold doves.
He overthrew the tables of the money changers. Christ. How can you turn my temple into a den of thieves, stealing from the people, using God to do so? This is the real Christ here. Against the prosperity movement, folks.
Mm-hmm.
Read.
13. And said unto them, It is written, My house shall be called the house of prayer, but ye have made it a den of thieves.
But you have made God's house a den of thieves. Read.
Verse 14. And the blind and the lame came to him in the temple, and he healed them. And when the chief priests and scribes saw the wonderful things that he did.
And that's what the churches was for. To pray and to heal our people. It wasn't for so that this one guy can aggrandize themselves financially off of the poor, where the poor becomes prosperity for the pastor. See? Read.
And when the chief priests and scribes saw the wonderful things that he did, and the children crying in the temples and saying, Hosanna to the Son of David, they were sore displeased.
Come on.
And said unto him.
And guess what? So the authority were displeased with Christ standing for the poor and the plight of our people. That's the real Christ there. That's the black man standing for his people. They got upset, saying, no, we're supposed to get paid off of the healing. We're supposed to get paid off of the poverty. This guy is coming in because what the poor and the destitute and those that needed healing would need to bring sacrifices and bring finances to the pastors or the Pharisees and scribes or the priesthood to do the service for them, to do the sacrifice for them. So Christ was like, no, you don't have to bring me. Christ says, I'm the sacrifice. I will be the sacrifice. Come in and get healed. And they looking at this saying, you know what? You know how much money I could have made off this one guy who couldn't walk? And he made him walk? Okay. You know how much money I could have made off this guy? This guy for the rest of his life would have came to sacrifice something and gave me finances to pray for his legs. Mm-hmm. This blind person and his family would have gave me all this money to come to the house and pray over their son or daughter until their eyes were restored. Hopefully they don't get restored because, but Christ was their undoing. He was healing for free. Check that out. This black man helping other black people, helping people of color. Come on.
Verse 16, and said unto him, Hearest thou what these say? And Yeshua said unto them, Yea, have ye never read? Out of the mouth of babes and sucklings thou hast perfected praise.
He says, out of what?
Out of the mouth of babes and sucklings.
Out of the mouth of babes and sucklings.
Thou hast perfected praise.
Thou hast perfected praise. Out of the mouth of babes, folks. This pastor, Farron Williams, listened to the millennials who were leaving the churches. Through the mouth of babes, folks. It's the youth that's standing up and saying, well, listen, we're not playing the game anymore. We're not playing it anymore. Okay? Now, before I segue into the complete lesson, be entitled, The Truth is Here. This pastor is bringing it, but he's not the only one, folks. And that's what the world powers, led by Satan, fears. The truth is here. What will we do with it? Reparations or restoration is the question. Listen to this. All right. For those who wanted to know where you can find this interview in its entirety, it's called The Bible is Black History. It's titled The Bible is Black History, American Black Journal Clip. You can see that on your own time, to hear the full. I played the full clip that really had the interview with him here. It was only about 9 minutes. So you have to put in specific. The Bible is Black History, American Black Journal Clip, right? Now, the book he has is called The Bible is Black History. I'm going to support this brother. I don't care if he's Baptist. Okay? I'm going to buy his book. I'm going to buy his book. I'm going to read it because I know it's supporting a great cause. It's supporting our cause, brothers and sisters. And I'm going to have our producers reach out to the brother and see if we can have a sofa talk or an interview on Blog Talk with the brother. Okay? And sit down with him and see how this is going or what has been his opposition since finding these things out. Right? Now, one thing that jumped out before we go into it, right? Mm-hmm. Where the brother said, you have something there?
Just one precept on what we just read.
Okay, go ahead and read it.
Yep, Matthew 11:25. At that time, Yeshua answered and said, I thank thee, O Lord, O Father, Lord of heaven and earth, because thou hast hid these things from the wise and prudent.
It says you have hid these things from the wise and prudent.
And hast revealed them unto babes.
And have revealed them unto babes. The Most High have hid these from the guys who think that their spirituality is attached to their BAs or masters or their degrees. Like these so-called Jesuits, like the James Whites and the Jesuits and all these different guys who think it's their education which makes them spiritual. No. The Most High says he have hid these things from them because why? These people have gotten recognition from the wisdom of this world. Satan is their Lord. Satan is their master. But the Most High have revealed it through us, through those who haven't went into high education and have got all these titles and certificates behind us. What school did Christ go to? It's the mouth of babes. You know what? I thank the Most High that the youth are speaking, not only with their dollars, holding it back from these Christian pagan churches, okay, but they have turned their back on a lot of these churches altogether. You have to bring truth now, because now, you know, we have something greater than any encyclopedia at our fingertips. We can confirm anything someone's saying today. If you're lying, you got someone in your congregation sitting there on the phone in the back of the pews looking up everything you're saying. Mm-hmm. Right now. Right? One thing stood out to me. He says, usually, back on that, he said that the question is, does it matter? He says, well, that's the wrong question. That's the wrong question, whether or not it matters. The question is, how is it that we allowed Europeans to change the color of Christ? That should be the question. Not because why? That opens up a whole new can of worms I'm about to go into. Because if we get away from the dismissive rhetoric, we can get to where this is leading. This is leading someplace. It's deeper than just Christ not being a white man. If we now take on our true origin according to the Most High who put us in this condition, it leads to something. It'll be the first time we united since being divided. It will be the first time in history that God's people united as one since our curse began. And that's what all of the political powers and that rule this earth fears, folks. What it means between us and our God and them if we unite for the first time, outside of their lies and influence. See? Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon 14 real quick in the Apocrypha. We're going to go into the Apocrypha, which is part of the Bible, because we're going to confirm what this brother's saying, okay, from the scriptures, that it's deeper than the image. Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon. Let's start at the 8th verse, 14 and 8.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14, verse 8.
Yes.
But that which is made with hands is cursed.
That which is made with hands is cursed.
As well it as he that made it. He, because he made it, and it, because being corruptible, it was called God.
It says what?
But that which is made with hands is cursed.
This is a curse we're looking you see on your screen. According to the Bible, it's a curse. So it's deeper than, you just can't look at this and dismiss it and say it doesn't matter. They stripped the robe off of this Roman, threw some blood on him, and put a crown of thorns on his head and threw him on a cross and said he was Jesus. This is deeper than, you just can't look at that and say it doesn't matter, folks. And pastors are waking up. Because if they lied on him, is it possible? They have lied on his whole race? Is that possible? And if that's so, does that matter? Mm-hmm. If so, does that matter? If this was a product that led to the product we see in our neighborhoods, by lying on Christ, it led to us not cleaving to the law of God. It led to us walking in a destitute spirit in darkness with no hope of understanding what's for us, because we as a people had no idea who we were. Believing that the chosen people label goes to the same people that looks like this. You're going to tell me that doesn't matter? Come on.
But that which is made with hands is cursed.
It's cursed.
As well it as he that made it. He, because he made it.
And the people that made it is accursed. Which means if you are purposely upholding this image according to the Bible, there's a judgment for it. And God is telling those people who created this, you better repent before the judge comes. Because he's not going to come looking like this image in front of you. I mean, you lie on our people for 5 minutes, we're ready to take it to the streets. Imagine lying on a black man for 2,000 years. You don't have to have an issue with what I have to say or what I'll do. It's written what he's bringing, what the judge is bringing. So he's speaking well beyond your Christian churches. He's speaking to the authorities who put the image up. That you're cursed, that Christ will judge you for this evil and wickedness that have continually separated God's people from him. This image has done so. Because first of all, God told us in the first law that we're not to have no other God before him and not to bow down to any image. And not only did you put an image in front of us, you put a white image in front of us. It's against our law. Every time we went to church, by default, our people were breaking the first commandment. Every time our mother put this image up in the house, the whole house was breaking the first commandment. And you wonder why we're in such a destitute state as a people. Believing we're doing the right thing, reverencing God. You're going to tell me it doesn't matter? Come on.
And it, because being corruptible, it was called God.
Being corruptible, this evil, wicked guy by the name of Cesar Borgia was called God. This is why people believe other races of people are Jews. Because of this image. We didn't know no Jewish people growing up. We were in a black insulated community. The only people we knew were the people, within our communities. This is the image that introduced us to what a Jew looks like. Okay. Come on.
Verse 9. For the ungodly and his ungodliness are both alike hateful unto the Most High.
So here's the problem, though. And I'm going to go back to this, right? Here's the problem. Now that we have found out, they're looking to just blow up the whole thing now. If you think that's something that our people are coming to the knowledge of the truth. We got pastors now coming forth and saying we are the true Jews, and they're asking the right questions and bringing forth the correct understanding based off of this, what the Most High revealed to them. So the powers that be can see, okay, slaves, okay, this slave thing is up. The gig is up. They know now. Let's try to open up the borders and bring in immigrants to try to replace some of the jobs they were doing. And it's still not working because the immigrants you're bringing in, we're telling them that they're from the 12 tribes also. We have churches in Puerto Rico. We have brothers in Brazil. So they thought they would open up the borders and say, we'll just replace them with Mexicans. Well, Mexicans are from the tribe of Issachar. They're waking up now. So now they're about to start war and pull the plug altogether because this system cannot work without slaves. And that's going back to my original point. They will never give black people reparations. Okay? The ghettos are the slave quarters for a capitalistic society. Someone must be the bottom floor in order for this place to thrive. You take the slaves out of it, the whole thing crumbles. So they realize, okay, if the black people wake up and it's their spirit that have been holding us up because their God, they've been praying to our God upholding our system. Without them, there is no system. You cannot build any house without a foundation. And the foundation of America is slavery. You pull the foundation out, the whole thing crumbles. I don't care how lofty the top looks. You cannot have a top without a bottom. Okay? You got to have people to build on. You pull that mechanism out, or you pull that element out, the whole thing collapses, and they know it. So now black pastors are saying, well, you know what? And you know what? We thank Donald Trump for saying one thing, a great quote. One of probably his greatest quotes out there was, hey, blacks, what do you have to lose? When he made that quote, blacks was like, well, yeah, what do we have to lose? We've tried everything. We become Democrats. We did everything everyone told us to do. We go to church and we're still destitute, destroyed, and have nothing. So these pastors looking at it and saying, what do we have to lose knowing that Christ was a black man? What do we have to lose knowing that we're the children of Israel? We tried it their way. We tried it the white Christian way, and it didn't work. It doesn't work. What do we have to lose? What do we have to lose? We tried this guy in front of us. Or are we afraid of the responsibility that comes with this title, Israelites? Are we afraid of that responsibility? Go on, other lawyer.
Verse 9. For the ungodly and his ungodliness are both alike hateful unto the Most High.
So the Bible tells us that this image is hateful to God. Now, it's a regular picture. There's nothing, on the surface wrong with this particular picture. It's just a picture. But what it's used for is evil. Read.
Verse 10. For that which is made shall be punished together with him that made it. Therefore, even upon the idols of the Gentiles shall there be a visitation.
Shall there be a visitation. So the Most High would begin to expose this idol in the end days. And that's what happened to this pastor. There was a visitation on this idol. Okay? We began to put this idol on trial and compare this image with the Christ we've read about in the Bible and saying, well, hold up. One of these things doesn't belong here. The Bible is black. Revelations, the first chapter, tells us that Christ had hair like wool and his feet was like bronze. In the book of Daniel, it tells you God is sitting on, Daniel 7, that God is sitting on a throne with a woolly fro, all white. All through the Bible, it tells us that Christ and his people were black. So that means the original teachers of salvation were all black people, because that was before there was any such man as Paul teaching Gentiles. So Christianity began with black people, black leaders. We were the founders and the foundation of the gospel. You mean to tell me that doesn't matter? Right there, when we begin to cleave to this, your Billy Grahams, your Joel Osteens, your Kenneth Copelands, your gatekeepers, they're all destroyed now. They're all moved out of the way. Like, I'm not listening to you. Who are you? You Gentiles learn from us. Find your place. Okay? That's what they fear. So it's deeper than just an image. We're going to start looking at their authority, their theologian schools, and all of that, and say, you know what? It's all a bunch of crap. All of it. You cannot guide us anywhere spiritually going forward. Okay? Your doctrine is the enemy. You are a pagan. Your God is an enemy of God. Therefore, I release myself of you. Okay? I dismiss myself of you. That's what they fear. So it's deeper than just his image. But go on.
Verse number 11. Therefore, upon the idols of the Gentiles shall there be a visitation, because in the creature of God they are become an abomination.
In the creature of God, they've become an abomination. Read.
And stumbling blocks to the souls of men, and a snare to the feet of the unwise.
So this image became a stumbling block to our people. And that's what this pastor was saying. He says many of these millennials don't believe in God altogether, and it's just a walking away from the church. Because why? In the church, they have a white image as the Son of God, the Savior for all people. But yet it doesn't make sense for our youth to see white people, operating in this earth contrary to Jesus. Would Jesus would have enslaved black people? Would he have done that? So they're looking at it and it's confusing to them. They're saying you're worshiping mom and dad, you're worshiping a white image. And then in the same house, you're complaining about what white people have always done throughout history against us. That's backward. I'd rather not even deal with none of the stuff y'all talking about. So because it become a stumbling block. So a lot of our people have walked away from God in the Bible altogether because of this image. It's a stumbling block. We need to move that thing out of the way and say, listen, no, we're not accepting no white images and no white authority in this earth anymore when it comes to God. Period. Okay? And we're not here to stop them from doing whatever they would like to do. That's their scenario. If they want to continue with their white churches, white images, white Mary, I would never get in the way of that. They have the right to do so. Get out of our way is what I'm saying. Take that crap over there and keep that from our people, because it become a stumbling block. Our people are no longer reading the Bible because of a false image. See? So if you want to continue to do that, do that. Celebrate Christmas, go to church on Sunday. That's your problem. Stop pushing that on our people. Come on.
Verse 12. For the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication.
See, they can't say it doesn't matter when it says the devising of idols, making this idol was the beginning of spiritual fornication. You're destroying the minds. You're having God's people fornicate by dealing with another God outside of the God of the Hebrews, the God of Moses, the God of the Israelites, the God of Abraham. When they put up this image you see in front of you, folks, this was deemed, according to the heavens, spiritual fornication. They began to mess with the minds of the righteous, of those who meant well. Come on.
It says here in verse number 12, for the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication, and the invention of them the corruption of life.
The corruption of life, come on.
For neither were they from the beginning, neither shall they be forever. For by the vainglory of men they entered into the world.
So he says these images wouldn't deceive us forever. It was only for a time they could do so. Okay. And their time is up. Come on.
Verse 14. For by the vainglory of men they entered into the world, and therefore shall they come shortly to an end.
Come on.
For a father afflicted with untimely mourning.
When it says a father afflicted of untimely mourning, the Bible was prophesying this guy's father, Rodrigo Bogier, of the Bogier family. The Bogier family is the actual characters that Oliver Stone, who was the guy that made The Godfather? Excuse me, not Godfather.
Is it Scorsese?
Yeah. Martin Scorsese, that's him. Martin Scorsese made The Godfather off of the Bogier family. It was the same story of the 15th century. that they updated with the Corleone family. And it's speaking of Rodrigo Borgia, the mafia family. It says, a father afflicted in untimely mourning. Speaking of Rodrigo Borgia in the 1500s, read.
When he had made an image of his son, of his child, soon taken away, now honored him as a god.
And they honored his son, this picture you have, as a god. When the conquistadors came to the Americas, they brought the image of the god they served, or of the king or the pope they served, into America. Because they said that what? Rodrigo would be what? The father, or the Pontiff's father. So he was revered as a god, and his son, Rodrigo Borgia, or Cesare Borgia, would be depicted as the new Jesus in the new world. So if Cesare Borgia is Jesus, then who would be God? The Pope, Rodrigo. This was white supremacy at the highest level. And the Bible prophesied they would do this, knowing that the children of Israel would one day serve captivity in this land called Babylon, the daughter of Babylon. So they needed to do what? Instill the false image first and reteach us, contrary to our ethnicity. Come on.
For a father afflicted with untimely mourning, when he had made an image of his child soon taken away, now honored him as a god, which was then a dead man, and delivered to those that were under him ceremonies and sacrifices.
So they took a dead man, Rodrigo Borgia, to be honored as the new Jesus Christ in the Americas. And with the image came false ceremonies and sacrifices. Christmas, Easter, see? Sunday worship, Lent, which is really a Babylonian institutional custom that was from ancient Babylon, which is Lent. Did all these things and instituted in the New World, and now our children come over here serving a curse that was prophesied in Deuteronomy, and learn of a new Jesus Christ. He's on your screen. He's right there in front of your screen. I purposely have the original image before you. Because why? It's disrespect altogether. Seeing this guy on a cross as if he died for the sins of our people. So I don't even have the image of him playing Christ. Okay? I'd rather you see him in his rightful form. This is Cesare Borgia, a picture they use to make the new Jesus Christ for slaves. And the Romans knows this. You can go to Rome right now and you will see images of this guy all over the place outside of him hanging on a cross. Read.
Verse 16. Thus in process of time, an ungodly custom grown strong was kept as a law, and graven images were worshipped by the commandments of kings.
So as a default, an ungodly custom began. That means tradition. And we enslaved in America begin to take on those traditions. See? We begin to take on those traditions, opposed to following the traditions of our forefathers as far as Passover, Feast of Unleavened Bread, memorial blowing of the trumpets, every Sabbath getting together according to God's command in the beginning to Adam to hallow the Sabbath day. We took these things on as a custom and immediately feel threatened when someone say it's wrong. Try to defend that. Well, I know he wasn't born on December 25th, but God knows the reason I'm doing it. Yeah, I'm showing you according to God why you're doing it. You've been deceived. And I'm glad that pastor brought it out. Stop excusing a lie. Okay, or continue to lose your congregation. Come on.
Verse 16. Thus, in process of time, an ungodly custom grown strong was kept as a law, and graven images were worshipped by the commandments of kings.
And the graven image was worshipped by the commandments of kings. In order for our people to get any rest during slavery, if we wanted rest, we had to go to church and learn these lies they're still teaching in the Christian church on Sunday. Now, what slave wouldn't sign up for that? Working 14 to 16 hours in the field and all that, and you have one day of rest. But if you allow them to program you with their false god during service. Our people are like, listen, where the church at? I don't care. I'll sing, I'll dance, I'll shuck, I'll jive. No more cotton. No more picking peas. Okay? No more fetching water. See? This is how they acclimated us into doing this, to the degree in which it became a tradition or a custom, to the point where they no longer had to use the whip to keep us in that mindset. It became a tradition. We look forward for Christmas. Now, we look forward to that. Because why? It's been deeply ingrained in our psyche. Not realizing every time you celebrate Christmas, it angers God. Every Sunday service angers God when our people attend it. Every Easter service angers God when we attend it. Read.
Verse 17, whom men could not honor in presence because they dwelt far off.
Come on.
They took the counterfeit of his visage.
They took the what?
They took the counterfeit of his visage.
It says they took the counterfeit of his visage. Counterfeit is fake. Visage is face. It says the conquerors took a fake face, read,
From far,
from Rome, from Italy, from Europe, read,
and made an express image of a king whom they honored.
and made an express image of the king they honored. Come on.
To the end that by this their forwardness they might flatter him that was absent as if he were present.
Now, real quick, folks, I want to show y'all this real quick. Real quick. 1 second. Let me get this. This is the Leonardo da Vinci's depiction of the Last Supper. I want you all to see this. Right? You all see that? Okay. Read that again, Elder Lawyer.
Verse 17, when men could not honor, or whom men could not honor in presence, because they dwelt far off, they took the counterfeit of his visage from far.
They took the counterfeit of his visage from far.
And made an express image of a king whom they honored, to the end that by this their forwardness they might flatter him that was absent as if he were present.
So it told us that they would hire artificers or artists to make a false image to honor the king, which is Rodrigo Borgia and his son in the New World. This was prophesied, folks, thousands of years before it happened, that the so-called European or white man would do this. The authority, the Vatican, would do this. Now, the image you have in front of you, I need you to check this out, folks. Because this is what's deep about this image. You see Rodrigo Borgia with white hair, 1 2, 3, 4 times in the image, it's Rodrigo Bogier, the father of Cesar Bogier in the image with the white hair. Cesar Bogier is in the image 1, 2, and 3 times right next to him. Right here on the end, on the left with the red, that's him. In the middle, that's him. And on the right side, that's him. Cesar Bogier in the middle with Cesar Bogier. Then you have his sister Lucretia Bogier in the image. Twice. Once to the left of him in the red and one to the right of him in the red. And there was no 2 women as the 12 disciples. Anyone looking at this image critically can clearly see this is a family of Romans with Roman togas eating swine at a table. This has nothing to do with Christ and the 12 disciples. Read it again, Elder Lawyer.
Verse 17, whom men could not honor in presence because they dwelt far off, they took the counterfeit of his visage from far.
They took the counterfeit of his visage from far, read.
And made an express image of a king whom they honored, to the end that by this their forwardness they might flatter him that was absent as if he were present.
I need you to look at this image again, folks. By Leonardo da Vinci, The Last Supper. Cesar Bogier is in the image 3 times. You can see him there. His father's in the image, Rodrigo Bogier, 4 times. And his sister's on either side of Cesar Bogier in the middle in the red. There's 12 people in the image and 2 women, but yet we know there's 12 disciples. This is not the Last Supper. This is a fulfillment of the Gentiles placing up a false image to be the children of Israel. See that? Come on, Elder Lawyer.
Verse 18, also the singular diligence of the artificer did help to set forward the ignorant to more superstition.
So because of this, it led to more superstition or evil being taught within the churches. Not the Church of Christ, but these churches became the churches of Satan. Believe it or not. Come on.
Verse 19, for he peradventure, willing to please one in authority, forced all his skill to make the resemblance of the best fashion. And so the multitude, allured by the grace of the work, took him now for a god, which a little before was but honored as a man.
They took this image, this false image, as a god who was little before that only honored as a man. He wasn't respected as Jesus Christ in Europe during the 15th century. This became a superstition that spread throughout the earth to the degree in which people down the line, hundreds of years later, began to accept this superstition or evil political stronghold, or what you would call power move. They were going to use this image to replace the black Israelites on earth. It was their power move. Because if the Son of God is white, then his people must be white. This was their power move. To switch out us with them. They're very patient. Very, very patient these people are, folks. This was their power move to switch us out with them. To the degree where we wake up today here in so-called 2019 and call other people Jews. This was their power move. You think this was a Christian thing? No. This was a European authority thing. It doesn't matter your religion. All of these people would benefit from this deception. regardless of their religious persuasion. Okay? They will benefit from this because they know in the Bible there's prophecies concerning the restoration of a particular people. And that at the end, these people would benefit. So they knew that there was a benefit of restoration if they could first take the title of those who would one day get restored by God. And whoever under this title would have a God-given right to rule the world according to prophecy. So what man could say in opposition to them if they have God on their side and prophecy on their side as the people written of in the Bible? So in order for them to stake claim to everything they're staking claim to today, they would first have to have what? A biblical and a historical and a prophetic right to it. And that's why our people gets nothing. We gets nothing, but because why? We think we're black. Well, in the Bible or any other religious handbook on earth, there's nothing that goes to black people. There's nothing that goes to black people. Where's the restoration of black people in any historical or religious book that would give them something according to their God? There's no nation of black people here. So you saying, well, I need this and y'all, I need this, I need reparation, I need this, that, and the other. And according to who? According to what? Where's the prophecy anywhere that says that we should give you this? Reparations. Okay, where is it? You don't know who you are, so you can't stake claim to an inheritance you're not claiming. See? You can't stake claim to an inheritance. They're going to ask you, why should I give you anything when there's no record that we owe you anything? Where's the record? Well, we was enslaved. They'd be like, well, the other people were enslaved too. I can show you where other races were enslaved. Don't they come with that answer every time? Why? Because we're not saying, well, it's our God-given right to have this according to God, according to the Bible. We're not rallying under the right talking points. See, the Israelis and the Jewish people can do so because they can say, well, listen, it tells us in the Bible that there's certain land allotted to our forefathers. That's property, folks. So they're over there fighting for property that belongs to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. While we're sitting there saying, I want reparations. Give me reparations. They're looking to implode this thing. This whole thing is about to implode, folks. There's nothing over here. This place will be sacrificed so that they can get what was promised. Okay? It's about to implode. Right? Hold that real quick, Elder Lawyer. Mm-hmm. Let's get Chronicles 7 and 14 real quick. First of all, and that's why I titled this, the truth is here, what will we do with it? Reparations, let me get rid of this criminal. Reparations or restoration. Now that pastors are finding out, now that we have people in the political spectrum saying, well, we need something outside of the same old mundane promises you've been promising us for decades. It don't exist. We don't want none of your promises no more. If Obama couldn't give it, no one can give it to us. Now that we got our people on the political side of things waking up to the political game, to push hope to us, while every other constituency get policy passed for them. Okay? Whether you be gay, you got policies passed for you. Whether you be a white woman, you got policies passed for you. If you want to kill your child in abortion, you have policies there to kill your child. That's the only rights we get, is to kill our children. So on the political side, our people are standing up and saying, we're not going for it anymore. Democrats have been who? Death's Trojan horse. That's what Democrats are. They are death's Trojan horse. They have totally destroyed us and decimated our people. No more of that. We don't deal with that. Okay? We're not dealing with it. And I'm not saying being Republican either. But Democrats is in the answer. Now, the political spectrum, there's an awakening where brothers are saying, well, listen, we're no longer voting for Kamala Harris or any of these black people you put in front of us that are part of the system. We want out. You give us something specific for us or shut up. Then you have pastors, elder lawyer, pastors, Baptist pastors standing up saying, well, listen, we're the Israelites. And it does matter. We're the Israelites and it matters. Right? Even have a book. The Bible is black history. And that's the truth. I'm buying that book. I'm buying that book just to support that brother. To let brothers know, if you are a pastor, I don't care what your denomination is or whatever the case is. If you're bringing truth, you have our support. We need to rally behind brothers like this, who's willing to put everything on the line and speak truth to injustice. So what must we do? Well, first of all, we have to understand the power of staking claim to our nationality as Israelites. Okay? I'm not an Israelite to go out and shout and curse at white people and to say that the white man is the devil. That's low-level Israelite. That's low-level Israelite. What I heard with that brother today, Dr. Theron Williams, that's an Israelite. He's an Israelite. Well-spoken, articulate, not holding personal gripes, but is willing to bring forth truth. That's an Israelite, folks. And that's the Israelites, the powers that be fears. These are the men we need to sit down with and have counsels for solutions with. Okay? To chart the future for the children of Israel who need refuge and protection. It's brothers like that we need to sit down with. Because I know if the Most High guided him there, he gave him more revelation and understanding for what we need to do next. That's an Israelite. So first of all, understanding this now, that our people no longer will be participating in this bogus political system with an agenda to destroy us, whether it be a Democrat or Republican in place. What has changed for us? Has anything changed for us? We've been going to the church from hill to mountain, walking from one religion to the next, going from Christianity to Islam, Islam to Buddhist, to atheist, with no rest, like the Bible said we would. Where's our resting place? Well, it's time for us to rally together under who we were from the beginning. The people of the Bible. We must take on that name of Israelites, and the heavens will answer. The Most High named us that. He gave us that name as his sons, as his daughters. We must go to the Most High on our private time and speak with him and let him know, I acknowledge I'm a son of Abraham. I'm a son of Isaac and Jacob. and that Christ died for my sins. Father, will you accept me back and see the results? Ask him to receive us back as his children and watch the results. I know it works. Because with that comes a responsibility, because he will accept us back. Son, daughter, you have sinned against the heavens. You have sinned against me. Follow my law and I will lead you back. Follow the law I gave Moses and have my son walk in, and I will lead you back. You'll get everything I promise, because you have some people over in the Middle East fighting for what's yours. You have now come to the point of knowing that something belongs to you. I've led you to this point. But the people who've enslaved you are not going to give it. They're not going to be the ones to give it to you. You must take ownership. We as a people now must take ownership. Do you want it all? Because there's a lot. Believe it or not, that prophetically belongs to you. And guess what? Africa is just the tip of the iceberg. You think Africa belongs to you? Check out what God says belong to you. Hold that and get 2 Ezra 6 and 54.
2 Ezra chapter 6, verse number 54. And it says here, after these things, Adam also, whom thou madest Lord of all thy creatures, of him come we all.
And you heard what the brother said. They found the original bones and knew, and they can say for sure that those original bones were of a black man in Eastern Africa. Well, the land of Canaan is Eastern Africa, which was named or turned to Israel. So the brother have scientific information that's been out there that the original man was black, but no one related that to Adam. But the Bible tells us the original man is Adam, a black man who was taken out of the dust of the ground eastward in Eden. That's East Africa, the land of Canaan. Come on.
Of him come we all, and the people also whom thou hast chosen.
And what?
Of him come we all, and the people also whom thou hast chosen.
And the people also whom thou hast chosen. Read.
Verse 55. All this have I spoken before thee, O Lord, because thou madest the world for our sakes.
Read that again.
All this have I spoken before thee, O Lord, because thou madest the world for our sakes.
The world was made for us, not just Africa. We were made to rule the world. But none of us are claiming that inheritance. There's only one people out there got enough sense to know what God said was promised. To rule everything. I don't see no European anywhere trying to claim Africa as their ethnicity. And it's on purpose. Why? Because there's no promise to rule the earth through the sons of Ham. There's no promises to rule the earth. So that's why in church they teach black people we're from the sons of Ham. So that you can only look forward to serving them. That's common sense. It says Ham's son Canaan will be a servant of servants. So if you are a Hamite or an African, the only thing you can look forward to is serving white people. Think for a second. You think they haven't read this book? They had our book once we fell as a people. So they realized that in order for the Most High to react and fulfill that promise, that was once just given to us freely, that we must walk in it and own it first before God give it to us. They know this. See? So it says the world was made for us, not just Africa. We're supposed to be ruling everything, but we ain't staking claim to nothing. Why? We claim to be black and African when there's no prophetic responsibility for the nations to give us anything as Africans. That land wasn't named Africa by God. So you be like, I'm an African. Well, that's good because that means we gives you nothing and there's no inheritance by your God for you. I'm looking in the Bible because we're claiming to be Jews and we have it to give it to you. And I don't see anything where we're supposed to give you anything as an African. Sorry. Serve. The people aren't responding to you and the heavens aren't responding to you because why? God don't know such a people as Africans. That's a continent. He named us Israel. No, it doesn't matter where we are on earth. Our bloodline is Israel. A continent doesn't denote or signify a nation. It's a bloodline that we're not staking claim to. I'm not staking claim to being, I'm a black man. Okay, you get nothing according to what the nations have to give or what the world says belongs to, to a people. Because we don't know no people such as black people. So, okay, you get nothing. Now, when you begin to stake claim to your title, now you start to see all the responsibility, not only responsibility, all the benefits by God that comes with you taking on that title. See? Come on.
All this have I spoken before thee, O Lord, because thou madest the world for our sakes.
Because they did what?
Because thou madest the world for our sakes.
Because thou madest the world for who?
For our sakes.
The world was made for us. There have been a reversal of roles. All nations are to serve us, folks. They're to serve us. But we've gotten this twisted. Because we want to stake claim to being Gentiles with no ethnicity and we claim it doesn't matter, then the nations say, okay, it doesn't matter. Serve me. You are a slave. If you're not going to ask for it, I'm not going to give it to you. If you don't know who you are, okay. If you don't even care, stay destitute in a destitute scenario with no law. Stay heathen. Stay heathen. Eat what you want and die from it. Continue to commit adultery against yourself and kill off your prodigy in your future. Okay, since you say the law is done away with. Since you say it doesn't matter. Continue to sell drugs to each other and murder each other and just die off anyway then. Because with this name comes a responsibility to the law. And now that you have taken that on, the Most High will begin to respond from the heavens and restore you. How do we know this? Go to 2 Chronicles 7 and 14.
2 Chronicles chapter 7, verse 14.
Come on.
If my people which are called by my name...
This is the Bible. If my people which are called by my name. Israel is not a state that was founded in 1948, folks. Israel is a bloodline. There's no such people in the Bible as Israelis. If someone say they're Israeli, they're converts into Judaism. They're not God's people according to the Bible. But he says, if you, the people who were prophesied to serve in this land for disobedience, if you what?
Which are called by my name shall humble themselves.
If we humble ourselves, stop being so proud and stiff-necked,
and pray
and
seek my face
and seek the God who put us in this condition
and turn from their wicked ways,
and turn from our wicked ways. Stop committing adultery. Stop stealing. Stop lying. Stop deceiving each other.
then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin
I will hear from heaven and the heavens will respond. I'll forgive your sin, Israel. Read.
and will heal their land.
And I will heal their land. See? That's the agreement. The land will always be in war and war torn and destroyed as long as we're war torn and destroyed. So even Jerusalem, even our homeland is crying out for its children and saying, come back, serve God, follow his law. I miss you. Our land is calling out to us and saying she misses us. But we want to claim Egyptologists, Islam, and all this other stuff, Buddhist. There's no inheritance for you. The Chinese already got everything that the Buddhist is going to receive. Okay? There's no inheritance for you. The pagans, the Catholic Church already got everything the pagan Christians are going to receive. Where's your inheritance? So because our leaders, our Christian pastors refuse to teach this, that we're the children of Israel, well, guess what? Other people began to stake claim to the land which is desolate. That's how they fight it. That's why they fight over the land, because the real people are in exile over here, crying for reparations. Slave master, you have enslaved me. Do something for me. Give me some reparations. Now, in fairness, folks, if they could give the Jewish people all this money for what happened, quote unquote, whether we believe it or not, in World War II with Hitler, if they could give Japanese reparations during the war when they was in internment camps, and if they can restore Hiroshima and Nagasaki and have money for them for dropping the bomb on them, in fairness, we've suffered way more than what they've suffered. If there was reparations, they should go to us. Let me make it clear. That would be justice. Right? But the people with the power to execute justice is behind our destruction. It's their legislation that keeps us broken and fragmented. Why? Through our destruction and destitute state, those nations stay empowered. So if all things were equal, yes, they're supposed to give us something. But they're not, they will not. Because they know once we get anything equal to them, we'll realize that we're really greater and that we can do things better and will influence the whole earth politically and take power. So they can't give it to us. That's political suicide for them. So the Most High made it where there's only one option. Him, God. If you want anything, you have to come to the God who put us in this condition. That's the rules. That's the rules. Now I need y'all to check it out because I said earlier that it was two stories that really coincide into one. One was sent to me by Brother Trent, which was, and I thank the brother for sending it to me, Dr. Theron Williams, which I'm going to invite on one of our shows, and what Elder God just sent to me almost 5 minutes apart from what the brother sent to me that led to this conversation or lesson today. Mm-hmm. The truth is here. What will you do with it? Reparations or restoration? What do we get out of this truth? Listen to this. I'm going to show you just a snippet of what people still get if they claim to be the children of Israel. Check this out. What do we have before us here? The Center of Reparations.org. Pursuing rights of Holocaust survivors. There's a page you can go to and fill this out if you fit these criteria, if you fit this criteria. Are you a Holocaust survivor who was interned in a ghetto? Now, mind you, none of that is happening today. Are you a Holocaust survivor who was interned in a ghetto? Are you a child of a Holocaust survivor who was interned in a ghetto? You may be entitled to a large sum of money. Even if you're already receiving compensation from the claims conference or from the German authorities, including the German pension insurance, you may be eligible to receive additional payments. The pension is paid even to those who were interned for a short period of time in a ghetto. I didn't know you get paid for being in a ghetto. Did you? Including ghettos in Amsterdam, Bulgaria, New Kremowitz, all European, Hungary, Shanghai, Sofia, Thessalonica, Transnistria, and many more. You can just fill in the blank. The possibilities are for a one-time retroactive compensation as well as a monthly payment from the German Social Security. I don't care where they are in the world, they get German Social Security if they can say, yeah, I got a great uncle on my mother's side who might have been interned into the internment camp. Please send me a check. Who is entitled to compensation? Any individual who was interned in a ghetto, even for a short while, may be entitled to a monthly payment as well as one-time retroactive payment, in some instances dated back to the year 1997. A widower of a Holocaust survivor. Now, mind you, a Holocaust survivor means if you had anyone in your family in Germany at this time, you can stake claim to this. Or in any of these other areas at that time. That means you are a survivor, even though you were under no threat or duress by anyone. In 1997, you can still stake claim to this. Right? This claim can be filed even if you have already received a monthly reparation payment from the claims conference and directly from Germany, the German pension insurance, which is a slush fund for just their people to just get. If you are an heir of a ghetto survivor and the survivor of their spouse was alive on June 27, 2002, that means if you were related to somebody who was related to somebody who was in a war over in Europe, even if you didn't even know these people, you may be entitled to a one-time payment. Is this procedure complicated? We will help you to file the claims for all the money you justly deserve. We will take care of completing in the forms. We'll do the paperwork for you. Collecting documentation as well as legal representation before the German authorities. Do I have to visit your legal office in person? So they're making it so convenient. Oh no. You can be sitting on your bed picking lint out of your navel for this. Okay? Do I have to visit your legal office in person? Many of our children are advanced in age and find it difficult to travel. You do not have to leave your home in order to take advantage of our services. The last stage of the process is we require that the person entitled to payment will visit the bank or any other official authority to authenticate his or her identity. Just show your ID and we'll give you a check. The authentication can also be received by your physician. What documents do I need to submit? There is a need to fill out any form. There's no need to fill out any forms. We will process all the necessary paperwork for you. How much do you charge? This must cost an arm and a leg, right? We do not charge a fee for our services. After successfully filing the claim, the German Social Security will transfer the money directly into your bank account. After you have received the restitution payment, we will charge a fee of 15% of the retroactive sum. We will only get paid once we get you paid if you're Jewish. Okay? You will not be charged any fee if your claim was rejected. I am sure if my relatives or I are eligible. I am not sure if my relatives or I are eligible. How do I find out? Very simple. A short phone call to our office, or you can just leave your information on a form below and we will get back to you with the professional response. Folks, what are we reading here? What are we reading here is there's a large amount of finances from the government body that must go to these people. But it has to be under a claim of what? Holocaust survival, because that's a fund of billions, trillions of dollars where the people just pay them. The world bodies just pay them out of their economy for being the chosen people. I need y'all to see this. But they're doing it in a way in which most people can't recognize what's happening. The Holocaust happened already. It's over. If I was to go into something that happened to me in slavery, they'll say, get over it. That happened a long time ago. Listen, all power to them if they can receive this money. But how are they able to receive this money, folks? They're able to receive it because there's a biblical right to rule the world, and the world must pay for it. It's a biblical right. So someone white right now can call up there, if you convert to Judaism, and say you knew somebody that was there. Believe me, there's a retroactive check and you will get paid. I didn't know you. I thought you could only get welfare and Medicaid living in the ghetto. I thought you could only get WIC and food stamps or an excess card living in the ghetto. What? I'm not saying that we should do what they're doing, folks. But there's a tight correlation between what I just read and that pastor waking up saying that he's an Israelite. You can tie those two together. Because Jewish people know that there's an inheritance claiming Israel and that there's a benefit of it. Okay? And it's deeper than the religion of Judaism. These people, you can be Jewish and not ever have to go to a synagogue and still stake claim to all of this, regardless of your religious persuasion. Because they are a united front under that promise. They're not saying, well, I'm an African Jewish person.
Right.
I'm from Egypt. I'm from the Mesopotamian area. I built the pyramids. They're not into none of that crap. They're like, you can have all that. There's no biblical promise to get anything under those terms and names. I'm a black power. Okay, look at my nose. My nose was the one that should have been on the Sphinx. They could care less about any of that. It's about power for them. So we have to come back to the God from whence power comes. Don't complain if you're not willing to stake claim, bro. Don't complain. You got to stake claim to your origin or you get absolutely nothing. But if you unite, and now that we all Israel, now all of our communities are in the room with our community leaders talking about how to implement the law within our communities. We're not talking about white people. We're not talking about Chinese people. We're talking about, as Israelites, we're going back into our history, realizing how we fell, and now as leaders looking to repair our nation for the children. And I'm talking about our people. I'm not talking about the continent we're living on. Our nation. Right? Now the conversation can begin with us coming together under that title, under that name that leads to us ruling everything. I won't even talk amongst our people. I'm not talking about Chinese people. I'm not talking about what Israelis doing, Jewish people. I'm not talking about what white people are doing. I'm like, listen, if you treat me like Christ treated me, and if you follow that law God gave Moses, God guaranteed that we'll rule everything. We don't even got to talk about them. How can we do this? But first, we must agree as Israelites to uphold our part as brothers and sisters together in this community. We can't agree if you're the Nation of Islam. We can't agree because God never said he's going to give a promise to the Nation of Islam. The Arabs already got everything a Muslim is going to receive. You can't come to me with no status correction, no Moorish American. You can't even come to me as a Christian and say, well, I'm a Christian. No. Because I need to know on the Sabbath when I pray, we're praying together. And that it's the same God that led to this condition. We have to pray together. We must be on one accord together with our God, our Sabbath, and how we interact with each other. And now the Lord is going to come in and give us everything beyond reparations. See? The truth is here. But what will we do with it? Reparations or restoration? Which is it we really want? Which is it? Do we want to continue to complain about the problems or become the solution for them? Right? Read that again, Elder Lawyer.
1 Chronicles 7, verse 14. If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves.
If we humble ourselves.
And pray and seek my face.
Come on.
And turn from their wicked ways.
If we turn from our wicked ways and stop making an excuse for our wickedness. That means instantly, folks, our communities change. Okay, instantly. Because our brothers and sisters will know that it's a spiritual offense to sell drugs, to kill our people. It's a spiritual offense. To battle over these mundane, minute instances while we suffer like crabs in a bucket. You understand? If we implement these things, it'll change immediately. Okay, there'll be no strip clubs. Our people are out of the strip club business. No selling drugs. Every relationship leads to marriage. All families stay together, and it's a council to make sure they stay together. No more family court. None of that crap. We will regulate and judge ourselves as a people. Begin to do all these things, and the Most High will begin to work from the heavens and to restore us in our rightful position. Because how can he put us in a position to rule the world when we can't even rule the little areas we're given in the ghettos? See? Come on.
If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin.
I will forgive their sin.
And will heal their land.
And will heal their land. Let's go to Jeremiah 16 and 19. Last scripture before we open this up for questions, and then I'll give y'all an insight on, give y'all some an insight on what we're going into in the academy tomorrow.
Jeremiah chapter 16, verse 19.
Come on.
O Lord, my strength and my fortress,
O Lord, my strength and my fortress,
and my refuge in the day of affliction.
and my refuge in the day of mine affliction.
The Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth.
So the Most High have prophesied this would happen. And you know what? I've witnessed this happen throughout the earth. Even when I was in the Middle East, Gentiles would come and say to me, I'm talking about Gentiles with influence, don't you know that you are Bani Yaqub, that you're the children of Jacob? Even in the Middle East, in Egypt and all these other countries, they know we're Jacob. They're waiting for us to stand up and stake claim to the name, because the people claiming to be us are at odds and war with them. They're waiting for us. Come on.
The Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth, and shall say,
Shall say what?
Surely our fathers have inherited lies.
Surely our fathers have inherited lies. And it's a shame when you lie to a whole race to make them to believe there's someone they're not. And in order for them to lie to us, they had to lie to their own people. You're not the people. Okay, you are the people. Now these people are waking up, seeing brothers teach on the street, going online, doing the research. Even the DNA is proving it, that the Israelites were always black, people of color. That the first man was taken out of Eastern Africa, where they found the first ruins, or the first bones of a human. Black people. Well, the first human is Adam. See? So now the nations are coming and saying, you know what? Surely we have inherited lies. You're the people. Help us. Let me tell you, if we would have came together under the Most High and stopped killing each other, this thing would have already been judged and earth would be paradise right now. But the earth is a product of its leader. We're worn, torn, and destroyed and destitute. And look at this case of the earth because of it. You can't expect the evildoers to bring a euphoria or to bring paradise. The Bible says that because of our disobedience in Deuteronomy 32, that he would put a foolish nation over us. And this earth is being ran by foolish people. But yet we'll complain. They're doing this. They doing that. They doing this. And they doing that. They're doing what they're supposed to do. They're not the chosen. What are we doing to take our position to change the earth? Is the question. Well, I know what I'm doing. I'm staking claim to my father's inheritance as an Israelite. That's what I'm doing. You can around thinking you black ham, that your nose look like the nose on a sphinx. You can think whatever you would like. The only people that have a promise to rule the world are Israel. And that's why Europeans have staked claim to our national origin. With that, anything else you want to say, lawyer? You good?
No, sir. No, sir.
With that concludes our class. The truth is here. What will we do with it? Reparations or restorations? Restorations for me. I don't want the nations to give us anything. Because why? Because they'll be able to take credit for the rise of Israel. And it's no prophecy to say that they would do so. Let's get Isaiah 4:1 for me real quick. It's to the point where they're looking for people to get Europeans to give money to. There's this big fund that if you can claim you remotely related to someone's cousin that was over there, you can get something. But yet our people suffering, and there's no one out there saying, no, you don't even have to leave your home. Just fill out this form, and there's billions of dollars for you. The money's just sitting there for them, folks. But they won't give you a dime of it. I choose restoration. Last scripture. I keep on saying last scripture. This is the last one. Isaiah 4:1.
Isaiah 4:1. And in that day shall 7 women.
No, Isaiah 2:1 is what I want. Where it says the world shall study war no more. Isaiah 2:1.
Isaiah 2 verse 1.
Come on.
The word that Isaiah the son of Amos saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it.
All nations will flow unto it. This will happen upon the coming of our Lord and Savior, Christ. A black man, mind you. And you know what? White people that follow Christ isn't going to mind a black man ruling, folks. Chinese people who follow Christ isn't going to mind a black man ruling. Because it doesn't matter. Right? It doesn't matter, right? You're not going to mind. Read.
Verse 3. And many people shall go and say, Come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob, and he will teach us his ways.
Come on.
And we will
Hold up. The nations will go what?
Go unto the house of the God of Jacob.
So all the nations, when Christ return, will go to what?
The house of the God of Jacob.
The house of the God of Jacob. That's our Father, folks. Okay, and guess what? It's offensive calling me one of the sons of Ham. That's offensive. I'm not an Egyptian. I'm not an Ethiopian. Okay? I'm not from the original Libyans. And I'm not a Canaanite. Those are the 4 families of Ham. So it's offensive, this Western world trying to put the label of Ham on black people in America and who are abroad that fits the prophecies of the sons of Jacob in exile, according to the curses in Deuteronomy 28. That's offensive. Our people need to stand up and say, no, y'all have to rewrite your theologian theories on who black people are. We don't want to hear it no more. We're not Hamites. There's no promise to rule anyone, anywhere as a Hamite. And I don't see why our people are staking claim to that and think there's some type of pride of being a Hamite. Now, for Hamites that are Hamites, hey, that's fine. But don't try to put that on us, because by doing so, they're able to stake claim to the real promise that belongs to the children of Israel. Come on.
And this is key, because this is the importance of why the people must be raised up, because the solutions are coming not only from the God of this people, but from the kingdom of this people.
Exactly. Because our God will set up our people to govern the new world. They think they're going to bring the new world order. Christ is bringing the new world order, folks. Their new world order is total extermination of Jacob so Esau could rule. That's their new world order. God is bringing his order. And we will be the governors of that order. Thus saith the Lord. And this is why they've always had a problem with us and try to keep us down under them. Because they realize it doesn't matter what they give us. It'll never be enough. They can't fulfill what God promised us. It's an impossibility. So they can give us whatever they want. It still wouldn't be enough, because they're in our seat. And that's what we're vying for. That's what we're working for. The seat of power. See? Read.
Let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob, and he will teach us his ways, and we will walk in his paths, and out of Zion shall go forth the law.
And out of Zion shall go forth the law. We will be what? The law teachers in the new world for the Gentiles. So that's why we're teaching our brothers and sisters to come back to the law now. How are we able to get the whole world in order if we're not able to put a plan in to follow the law amongst us? See? So now we're learning, we're relearning now, coming out of this awakening, that we're not supposed to eat shrimp, crab, pork, lobster. We're not supposed to be in Sunday service. We're not supposed to be celebrating Christmas and Easter. And we're not going to miss anything. We got children in our church that follows the Sabbath, Passover, Purim. They don't even care about Christmas. But how are we going to teach the Gentiles about? We tell that Chinese dude, put that fat Buddha down, okay? No more of that. Mm-hmm. Get it together. Christ, this black man, the one that sent us here to govern, he's the head man in charge, okay? Put Buddha down. We're not dealing with it no more, okay? And we're gonna tell all the nations, voodoo, witchcraft, all that. Your Lord is bound in hell. You have no power on this earth anymore. See? Read on.
And the word of the Lord from Jerusalem.
So the power will be from what? Jerusalem. And it tell you that we're going to make all nations beat their weapons in the plowshares. I mean, into pruning hooks. Okay? Their weapons will be used for gardening tools in the kingdom. And the earth will study war no more. Finish reading.
Verse 4. And he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people.
Come on.
And shall beat their sword, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares.
Come on.
And their spears into pruning hooks.
Come on.
Nation shall not lift up sword against nation.
No more wars once we as the children of Israel are in position under Christ. No more wars. Who don't want this? Every Christian who claiming to be Christian, listen to this. The Old Testament is letting you know how the foundation is established for the new kingdom. For Christ's kingdom. Don't you want to know how the transformation takes place? It's prophesied right here. So all of the things we're complaining about will only come through us following Christ and executing the law one amongst another. That's how we get to this point here that Elder Lawyer is reading, where the nations are taken down. It's not about focusing on what the other nations are doing. It's about using the law and taking on the title of Israel to get our people together. That's what it's talking about. And our God is going to take care of them. The same God that said that he would put us into captivity have given Isaiah this prophecy also of when we're no longer under captivity. But first it comes with staking claim to our inheritance by taking on the name of Israel. The heavens will respond. God is not a man that he should lie. His word don't come back void. He said he would set us up, but we must stake claim to us being an Israelites first. Read.
Verse, it says here, nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war any more. O house of Jacob, come ye, and let us walk in the light of the Lord.
And it says what?
O house of Jacob,
O house of Jacob, the 12 tribes of Israel.
Come ye, and let us walk in the light of the Lord.
Come and let us walk into the light of the Lord. Find Christ. Be baptized for the remission of sins and take your position, Israel. The Most High God, Ahia, is ready. Shalom. Let me open up for questions. And then, again, let me put out that book so that if y'all would like to get that book from the brother, you can order it. The Bible is Black History. A little later, I'm going to order it myself. Hey, I'm going to support the brother because I'm sure there's some key information in it. Okay? And on top of that, I'm going to invite the brother on one of our broadcasts. Reparations or restoration? I would say restoration. Now, just for the sake of those who are looking to try to get reparations. I'm speaking of those that are, because there's some brothers out there making some serious political points. I would say take some of this information that we brought forth about this slush fund that Holocaust survivors can receive, even if they're remotely some way twisted, sideways related to someone who was there in one of those areas. And also take the monthly stipend that the international body gives Israel each year. Use that as your political evidence of what someone should receive in the ghetto who have suffered by the hand of oppression. And with all this evidence, if you still don't get anything, you'll know you'll never receive anything. I want to say that all praises be to the Most High. We have a great academy going on right now. Tomorrow's lesson. Elder Lawyer, give them some insight on what the lesson will entail tomorrow.
Yes, sir. The topic of discussion is UFOs in the Bible. Are we alone? And basically what we've done is we've went through the scriptures and we've searched out to see if a lot of the things that people may associate with either UFOs or what they would call intelligent life forms or aliens, so on and so forth, if some of this information can be resolved through the biblical scriptures. So all of that and more will be discussed tomorrow in the lesson. And of course, we're going to go over a few things afterwards just to make sure we have everything together, and we'll bring it forward if the Most High permit tomorrow.
UFOs in the Bible tomorrow. We are not alone. We're going to bring out the truth of UFOs. And it's deep, Elder Lawyer. Right now, there's a campaign online where they're putting some people together to storm Area 51. They know something is going on in Area 51. But I'm going to tell you, I'm even going to go into some of the information of Antarctica, how they were actually stationed in Antarctica since the beginning. Satan and the angels that fell and all that. So we're going to let you know that the UFOs have always existed. Abductions and all that is true. MK Ultra, all that came from the fallen ones, the fallen angels, to program people for hosts. Even with this mental health thing they're rolling out, schizophrenia, people bipolar, well, they've made you like that to be host of demons. These are all projects from the fallen angels. We're going to be going into that tomorrow. You don't want to miss the academy tomorrow. I'll tell you right now. The first time we're teaching this particular lesson too. So, UFO in the Bibles, we're not alone. We wrestle not with flesh and blood. You'll see that tomorrow. Also, this coming week on the broadcast, on the weekly Wednesday broadcast, we'll be going into health, the healthcare system or the death care system, to show you how they're really pushing or creating all these diseases by some of the foods we love. The diseases are in the food. And it's our eating habits that leads us to be what? Dependent on the medication that kills us off. So it's a circular effect. The medicines are not medicines at all. The medicine is just, it treats the symptoms while slowly putting us down like dogs. We're going to be going into that this Wednesday. All praise be to the Most High. And again, we have a lot of travel. So if you want to support the church, you can send tithes or offerings. Okay, if you send tithes and offerings in specific for the elders, you can send it to the P.O. Box. Okay, you can send it to the P.O. Box 946, 2000 Hamilton Street, Philadelphia, PA 19130. And this is where the money goes to me is separate from the monies in the churches. Okay, the church money goes to the church, and the money that comes to us, tithes and offerings, go specifically to us. So if you would like to do that, then you can send money directly to us at the P.O. Box 946, 2000 Hamilton Street, Philadelphia, PA 19130. You would title that check or money order Richard Shepard. Okay, you could title it Richard Shepard, and we'll put that in the tithes and offerings. Okay, if it's for the Gathering of Christ Church, then you would put Gathering of Christ Church, and we'll put that in their the church's account. Keep in mind, what I get and what I have is separate from the church. A lot of you see what's happening out there right now with with other groups and all that, where people are being brought up on charge and all that, because people are going into church's money, using it for their own personal funds. You can't do that. It's illegal. Church money is for the church. I don't want to put that out there. Okay? And everything must be done in decency and in order. Even when money was coming in to the priesthood for the 10%, all the money that came in wasn't for someone personally that was over the priesthood to take it all while the whole nation suffered or the area suffered. So that's the wrong scenario. And a lot of pastors, have done things and made churches a business for themselves. No, you must do things in order. What belongs to the church of God is the church of God. What's sent to me and what comes out of that to me is mine. Okay. So I'm just putting it out and being upfront so that you all know that if you send money for something in particular that you want us to use it for, that's what will be used for. Okay. I like to also say we're only week 5 in the academy, right? We have 2 more months. So if you want to become a part of the Hebrew and Bible Academy, right, you can send an email to gatheringas1@aol.com or historytimes.org. Okay. Or you can go to historytimes.org and enroll right there. And we'll make sure you receive the 1 month missed to catch up, because we're still early. We got 2 more months of the academy, and we're going into lessons like you've never seen before. And we're bringing lessons we've never taught before. So you don't want to miss it tomorrow. historytimes.org, gatheringofchrist.org, or send an email to gatheringas1@aol.com to be a part of the academy tomorrow. That's right. UFOs and the Bible, we are not alone. I'll answer about 2 questions and wish you all Godspeed. The address for offerings, let me type it in here. Okay. 2000 Hamilton Street. Philadelphia, PA 19130, and that's P.O. Box 946. It's right there. And you just title it Richard Shepard. Okay. And then we'll just make sure the offerings are distributed between myself. The things that come to me, I'll distribute between myself and Elder Lawyer if it's specific offerings and tithes. When it says to elders, you'll just put Richard Shepard, SHEPPARD, or Pastor Richard Shepard, or Elder Richard Shepard, either way, then that's my slave name, and that'll go to me, okay, in particular. Okay? Mississippi Elder Lawyer is what they're asking.
Yes. As far as Mississippi goes at this point, things are still, I guess you would say in developmental stages. I do plan to do a trip to Mississippi, but as far as the established body we have there, it is still pretty, I want to say, limited as far as numbers. Okay, so we're still working to build things up there, but nonetheless, I do plan before the season is out to visit all of the different areas under the southern region, including Mississippi. So I'll keep you guys posted, and you'll be hearing about that soon concerning the travels throughout the South.
Okay, that's great. And we're also looking into new churches for the Orlando area. We have some good some good choices there, as well as a new Atlanta church. We're still looking into that. So just hold tight if you're in those areas and you would like to. Right now we're busting out of the walls in Atlanta. We just need a bigger place, and we're working on that now. Okay.
Also Tennessee.
And Tennessee, exactly. So it's okay. And more as the war press upon us, you'll be hearing us talk about preparation for what's going to happen, and alternative options internationally, and what we need to do to prepare to go from one place to the next in case of an emergency. You'll hear a lot of that in the Academy with the Academy News. We actually about to go into more of that. And you'll be hearing more of us talk about this impending war, because, there's a lot going on in the Gulf of Hormuz right now. So you'll be hearing us talk about that and deal with preparation locally for that within our local churches to spread this ministry beyond the borders of America. Just like Trump says, if you want to leave America, leave. Okay? So he's given, you know, they're saying if you want the opportunity to leave, it's out there for us if we need to take those opportunities. So I'll be talking about that coming soon, okay? With that, I'm going to say shalom, stay in the spirit, stay prayed up, sin not, brothers and sisters. We'll soon see Zion. Shalom.
Shalom.
Show me the way to Zion. I'm on my knees,
Shalom.
laying my life on the line. I'm begging, please, please don't let me fall. Give me the strength, place my feet, guide my path, show me the way to Zion. I feel the Spirit calling me, drawing me back home. Oh, and something with my family, I know it won't be long.
Shalom.